The tragedy of Abeloth begins with a woman who sought power out of love, driven by her fear of losing those that she cared the most for. As the mortal caretaker of the ones of Mortis, she watched over the cosmic embodiments of the light, dark, and balance, and yet she herself was bound by the frailties of mortality. Her desire to protect and remain with her children forever grew into a consuming fear of abandonment. In desperation, she sought immortality, turning to forbidden force nexuses that she could not comprehend. Her merging with the pool of knowledge and the font of power was a reckless attempt to unite light and dark. Within her very body, this shattered her humanity, tore her apart from within. What emerged was not the caretaker that she had once been, a loving mother and wife, but something unnatural, an imperfect, and a heretical fusion of opposing forces that created a being twisted, vile, and cruel beyond measure. The violent, forceful merging of light and dark, instead of granting her balance or enlightenment, broke her mind and body, twisting her, transforming her into a monstrous force of chaos. The love and the fear that once defined her became perverted, manifesting as a destructive hunger for control and a desperate need to dominate. The woman that she had been was now lost, torn asunder by the warring energies of light and dark that could never coexist in harmony. Her act of defiance against the natural order of the Force created not an immortal protector, but an eternal abomination, an embodiment of imbalance. Abeloth became a creature of profound cruelty, driven mad by the forces within her, a reminder of the terrible consequences of seeking power without understanding, and the dangers of defying the very nature of the Force. In this new twisted form, Abeloth reached out to the ones of Mortis, her family, not with love as she once had, but with a desperate need to dominate and control. Her fractured mind, consumed by the clashing energies of light and dark, saw them no longer as family, beings to protect, but as tools to secure her power, to stave off the loneliness that now haunted her every moment. Her corruptedness sought to bend the daughter's light and the son's darkness, and even the father's balance to her own chaotic purpose. For the first time, the father, a being of unparalleled strength and wisdom, felt true fear. He realized that Abeloth was no longer the caretaker that he had once trusted, but a force of raw, destructive energy and madness, beyond even the combined might of his near godlike family. Out of love and desperation to save his children, the father used the extent of his power to shield the ones and to flee from Abeloth's insatiable hunger. Her existence was an affront to the very nature of the galaxy, an imbalance that the father feared would unravel the universe. Though the ones were powerful, their strength paled against the abomination that Abeloth had become. The father's retreat was not of cowardice, but a calculated act of survival, a recognition that confronting Abeloth would mean annihilation, not just for his family, but potentially of all creation. In exile on Mortis, the father locked himself away, keeping his children close, away from the galaxy, knowing that Abeloth's corruption were ever to spread, that it would be calamity of which the galaxy would never recover. Abeloth's true terror lies not in her raw power, but in the fact that her very existence is an aberration, a being who was never meant to be. She is the antithesis of balance, a perversion of reality, and a sin of the galaxy. Unlike the Sith who twist and corrupt for their gain, Abeloth exists outside of the natural order entirely, a force that defies the will of the Force. She is no rival to the Jedi or Sith. She is something worse, an instrument of pure, unrelenting chaos and evil. Abeloth's creation, born from her attempt to share in the immortality of the Ones, shattered whatever humanity she once had, leaving only a fractured entity, something that cannot be reasoned with nor redeemed. The tragedy of Abeloth is whatever she was, whatever love or purpose she had, was torn apart by the warring forces within her. Her body, her soul, became a battleground of energy conflicting, ripping apart her identity, reshaping her into a being of malice and destruction, of pure madness. Abeloth is eternal, unbound by mortality that constrains other beings. This makes her more dangerous than any Sith. While the Sith seek to dominate the Force, Abeloth has transcended it, existing outside of its influence, becoming a nightmare that neither light nor dark can control. To the Jedi, she represents the ultimate failure of balance, a force that exists purely to corrupt. What haunted Grandmaster Luke Skywalker for so long about Abeloth was not her overwhelming strength, but what she represented. She was no enemy of the Jedi, no adversary to be defeated in battle. She was the living embodiment of the galaxy's greatest fears, an uncontainable, all-encompassing force of evil that defied all understanding. The Jedi fed off of understanding. Abeloth was beyond redemption or change, a fact that went against everything that the Jedi stood for as well. She was not driven by ambition, revenge, or greed. She simply was, and is, an eternal destructive force with no great purpose. Luke's understanding of the Force, shaped by the teachings of Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon Jinn, was shaken by the existence of Abeloth. He realized that Abeloth transcended all mortal concepts of morality. She was a harbinger of a galaxy ruled by despair. In Abeloth, Luke saw the worst-case scenario, a being that surpassed even the Force's control. Her twisted immortality made her unstoppable in the way that no Sith could ever achieve. Individuals like Palpatine sought immortality to rule, but Abeloth's existence was far more terrifying. She had no goal, no limits, and no ties to a natural cycle. She was a being corrupted, and she corrupted everything that she touched, be it reality, fabric of time, anything. The Jedi's purpose of preserving balance seemed almost futile in her face, yet Grandmaster Luke refused to succumb. Luke feared that Abeloth's immortality meant that she could outlast even the most heroic efforts to stop her. Luke feared that in a long-distance future, where the Jedi and Sith were only memories, that Abeloth would become the dominant force in the galaxy, a remaker of reality in her terrifying image. But Luke held fast to another belief, that there was nothing above the Force, that its will is stronger than any singular being, even one as powerful as Abeloth. He believed the Jedi as a force for good must remain the galaxy's guiding light within the chaos. The hope remains that Luke's driving force, a beacon of resistance against the unrelenting darkness, will always conquer. Still, Luke knew that defeating Abeloth was beyond the strength of any Jedi alone. Her power was so great, and her corruption so vast that no single faction, Jedi or Sith, could ever end her. The Mortis dagger, the weapon capable of killing a celestial being, became the focus of Luke's quest, and the quest of his Jedi Order. The dagger was a symbol of unity, a necessity for the galaxy to come together as one to face a threat beyond their simple conflicts. The dagger represented not just a means of destruction, but a path to healing the galaxy's divisions, uniting its people against a foe that cared nothing for their wars or their ideologies. Abeloth's presence made the division between the Jedi and Sith seem petty in comparison. The galaxy's survival depended on setting aside ancient rivalries to confront a being that could undo all of existence. Yet, this is no easy task. The Sith, ever driven by ambition, would not so easily cooperate, and even among the Jedi, there were those that doubted the possibilities of victory, believing Abeloth to be a pure inevitability. But Luke's leadership and unwavering faith in the Force kept the Jedi moving forward. Grandmaster Luke understood that Abeloth was not a threat to the Jedi or the Sith, but was a threat to existence and any future whatsoever. For Luke, defeating Abeloth was more than a battle against evil. It was a reaffirmation of the Force's ultimate purpose. He believed that as long as the Jedi stood as guardians of light, that there would always be hope, no matter how dire. The Mortis dagger was more than a weapon. It was potential. A potential to unite and overcome even the darkest of forces. Luke's faith in the Force's power to restore balance gave him the strength to stand against Abeloth, a being that embodied everything that the Jedi Order feared and rejected. The story of Abeloth is a reminder of the dangers of imbalance, unchecked ambition, and the perils of defying the natural order of things. She is an abomination, a warning of what can happen when the boundaries of creation are shattered. But through Luke's determination and the Jedi's commitment to balance, she also becomes a testament of resilience and hope. As long as the galaxy stands united against her chaos, Abeloth will remain a shadow on the horizon, a terrifying possibility, but one that can be faced with courage and faith. Abeloth is a being who transcends the power of any mortal force wielder, existing as a nightmare far beyond Sidious, or even Grandmaster Luke. Sidious, with his cunning and his mastery of the dark side, sought ultimate power, but remained confined within the limits of the Force. Abeloth, by contrast, has broken free of those boundaries, existing as pure chaos and corruption beyond control or even comprehension. Her raw power is unmatched, her immortality unassailable, and her influence so vast that even the combined might of the Jedi and Sith seem insignificant in the face of her potential. She is not a rival to the Jedi or Sith. Abeloth is cataclysm, a force that cannot be reasoned with, redeemed, or subdued. In many ways, Abeloth is the logical next step in the evolution of the Jedi story. She represents a challenge far greater than any Sith Lord, embodying the ultimate test of the Jedi's resilience, faith, and unity. Her existence forces the galaxy to grapple with what lies beyond the traditional understanding of the Force, and to confront the consequences of imbalance on a cosmic scale. For the Jedi, Abeloth is both their greatest foe and a chance to prove that the light can prevail against even the most unimaginable darkness. Abeloth's story is not just about power, it is about what happens when the rules of the Force are broken and reality itself unravels. Facing her is the ultimate trial for the galaxy, demanding not just strength, but hope, unity, and an unshakable belief in the Jedi and the light. Luke Skywalker's greatest fear was not simply the looming shadow of Abeloth's immense power, but the unsettling thought that she may just be as eternal as the Force itself is. As a Jedi, he accepted that his life would one day end, but the possibility that Abeloth would endure beyond him was a fear that lingered at the edge of his mind. The Force's immortality was a comfort, a guiding light that transcended generations, but Abeloth, Luke saw as a dark reflection, a vile counterpart, immune to time, as unending as the very energy field that she had transcended. The tickle of doubt haunted him, whispering that even if she were defeated, she would never truly be destroyed, and that corruption may one day rise again to threaten the galaxy. Yet despite this fear, Luke held fast to his belief that the light, embodied in the Jedi Order, would continue to shine, so long as those who followed him carried the torch of hope and balance. But anyway, my friends and fellow students of the Force, this was Luke Skywalker's greatest fear about Abeloth, her immortality, and the lingering fear in the back of his mind that she was eternal. But anyway, friends, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on all of this Abeloth lore? And do you hope that we'll see her in live action one day? As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting the channel and the archives, and may the Force be with you.